Most creators are sabotaging the growth of their videos without even realizing it. You see, YouTube has many hidden settings that can make or break your channel, and if you don't fix them, then you're fighting an uphill battle. So in the next 10 minutes, I'll show you 7 settings that will instantly boost your views, save you hours of work, and get YouTube to push your videos to the right audience. So let's start with the first one. If I could go back in time to when I first started on YouTube, then there's one setting I'd change immediately. When I first started, I wasted about 10 minutes per video uploading my links, my description, and my settings. And if you're uploading videos, then you're probably doing the same thing. But what if you could set all of this up once and never have to do it manually again? Well, inside YouTube settings, there's a section called Upload Defaults. This lets you pre-fill your video description, visibility settings, monetization, tags, basically everything that you come to do when you upload a video. So this means that from now on, every time you come to upload a video, all of your core settings will be applied. And all you have to do is update your title and your description rather than starting from scratch, which is a huge time saver. But if you've ever checked your retention graphs of your videos, then you've probably noticed something. Right at the end, your retention basically plummets. And I noticed it on a couple of my very first videos and kind of realised the main reason it was happening. This basically happens because viewers can sense the ending. They hear your outro, maybe your music level goes up, they see those end screen visuals and think, okay, I'm done here. But here's the thing, the moment they leave, your watch time and your retention drops. And that not only affects that video's performance, but it can drag down the views of your other videos too. So how do we stop this? Well, there's one thing you can do that YouTube absolutely loves and can actually get you more views. You never let the video end in the first place. And that's where end screens come in, but most people get this completely wrong, because they just turn on end screens with a quick thanks for watching and expect viewers to click, but that doesn't work. Instead, what I recommend you do is you treat the outro like the intro to your next video. So as you approach the last few seconds of your video, you have to realise that you're entering into the intro territory. So you start the intro with a hook, maybe that's a statement, question, or story hook. Just make sure that these are related to your current video's topic or something you mentioned earlier. Then you give your viewer a strong reason to stick around and watch the next video. For example, if your video was all about starting a car, your outro could be something like, now that you know how to start a car, there's no point learning how to start it if you don't know how to make it move. So check out this video right here where I show you how to do exactly that. Then you just put an end screen up here or wherever you want to on your screen to that video. Now the viewer has a clear reason to stay on your channel rather than clicking away. But what this does is it creates something called a binge session, where you link to a previous video at the end of each video and you keep doing that for future uploads. And as you keep linking videos like this, it builds up the total views for your channel. And YouTube absolutely loves that kind of engagement. But there's one YouTube setting that's like Marmite. Creators either love it or they hate it. But for me, it's been a total game changer for engagement. Have you ever clicked on a video that looked interesting and you get to a few minutes in and the creator's still rambling on about stuff that you're not that into? So you start skipping around the timeline to try and find the good bits, but it's super frustrating because you can never actually find them. That's exactly what you don't want for your viewers to experience. And that's where video chapters, also known as timestamps, come in. Basically, using timestamps can make your video way easier to navigate, keeps people on your video for longer, and makes your ideal viewer more likely to come back for more because they've had a positive experience with your video. So here's how to add them in the right way. You head to your video's description and add a list of timestamps, but make sure that you start with 00:00 as your starting point. Then you need to include at least 3 timestamps in ascending order, but make sure that you keep each section at least 10 seconds long. Then you can use chapter titles that create curiosity. You see, most people just use boring timestamps like introduction or main topic, but if you treat your timestamps as kind of like mini hooks, then people will actually use them. Now there are times when you need to be specific, but you get what I'm saying here. Basically, aim to create curiosity that makes people click rather than giving away the spoiler. Using timestamps doesn't just keep your viewers engaged, but it also helps YouTube to understand your content better, which means it can rank higher in search. But here's something you need to look out for every time you upload a video, because what YouTube does is it automatically ticks include automatic chapters. But this can affect how viewers interact with your video, because what YouTube's automatic chapters does is it tells them exactly what's happening in each section of your video, which leaves zero room for curiosity. It's literally like Harry from When Harry Met Sally, reading the last page of the book first. It totally ruins a story, but I'd recommend turning that setting off and adding your own chapter markers so you know exactly what's happening and when. But there's one setting that creators stress over and spend way too much time on, but it actually barely moves the needle, and that setting is tags. Now, don't get me wrong, because tags can actually help YouTube understand what your video is about, but they're nowhere near as important as you actually think. The real problem is that people don't realise just how smart the YouTube algorithm actually is, and once you get how it works, it completely changes how you approach your videos. The YouTube algorithm isn't just relying on the words that you type into your video settings, it's literally watching your videos, and it scans every single frame to detect objects, text, and even faces. And it does all of this through one of Google's tools called Cloud Vision. The tool analyses your thumbnail through something called optical character recognition. It reads every single word that you say in your video through its auto captioning system, and it even breaks down your video structure. So basically, while you're stressing out about picking the perfect tags, YouTube has already figured out what your video is about way better than tags ever could. So what should you do instead? I'd recommend setting up a few default tags in your upload default settings. You get up to 500 characters for your tags, so use about 450 for your default tags, and then leave a little bit of room for video specific tags. But here's where you should really put your effort instead of focusing on tags. The first thing is to focus on making your title highly clickable. You basically do this by making it as curiosity driven as possible. The second thing to focus on is giving context and naturally using keywords in your description. And the third thing is to spend way more time on your thumbnails, because YouTube literally analyzes them, and it's one of the first things that your audience sees to decide whether to click. In the grand scheme of things, tags are just a tiny piece of the puzzle. Your job isn't to explain your video to the YouTube algorithm, because the YouTube algorithm already knows what your video is about. Your main job is to package the video in a way that makes your ideal viewer click. Now, there are two settings that matter way more than tags when it comes to getting views, but most people use them completely wrong. First up is your video's title. Now, your title, along with your thumbnail, is the first impression of your video. It basically decides whether a viewer is going to click or scroll straight past. Take a look at these two examples. A bad example of a title would be my camera setup, because it's way too vague, but a good example of this title would be the $500 camera setup every YouTuber should use. The second title makes you way more curious. It tells you who it's for and why it matters. So here are two quick tips to creating a high performing title. The first is to keep it under 50 characters so that it doesn't get cut off in various places on YouTube, and the second is to use words or phrases that spark curiosity. Think of phrases and words like should use, nobody talks about, the biggest mistake, the number one way, and stop. Now let's talk about your description, because it's something that most creators aren't using to its full potential. Your description isn't just for SEO, but it's about backing up your title, engaging viewers, and encouraging viewers to take action. Now, your first line of your description should act as a hook. Think about it. When someone sees your video in search, the first thing they see in your description is that first line. So a bad description might start with, "Hey guys, thanks for watching my video," but a good description would start with something like, "This camera setup gives you cinematic videos on a budget. In this video, we'll dive into how it works." Now, here's the number one call to action mistake that people make in the description and how to fix it. And I see it all the time. In fact, I've fallen into the trap myself, and that is seeing YouTube descriptions with way too many links. While the description's goal is to hook people in and basically summarize your video, its super important goal is to be a call to action. Whether you're linking to your website, a community, another video, or a newsletter sign up, basically this is where you promote the part of your business or your YouTube channel that you're focusing on growing at the moment. When I was running my own digital marketing business, I spent a lot of time analysing how people interacted with links, and that's when I realised there's one way you can use to massively increase the chances of a link getting clicked. Now imagine you had 20 links in front of you right now. Pretty much none of them will get clicked because you'd have to choose. And you don't really have the time to do that, right? You have more important things to be doing. So the trick is literally to just cut down all of your links to the most important one. By having one clear call to action, people have no other choice but to click it, which makes it way more effective. So here's a quick example of a description format. The first line obviously hooks viewers in. So something like, "This camera setup gives you cinematic videos on a budget. In this video, we'll dive into how it works." And the body is where you expand on the video topic with 1 to 2 paragraphs. Basically, you'll learn about X, Y, and Z, and you finish with one call to action. For example, watch this next video and then link to the video, or you link to a guide with more information about what you've talked about in the video. So basically your title gets people to click and your description guides them to the next step. And when you use the description correctly, you'll see a boost in your YouTube channel and also in your business. But there's a setting in your YouTube dashboard that you probably aren't aware of, but it's super important because it tells YouTube what niche your channel is actually in. Basically, all you need to do is head over to settings, then channel, then add in a few relevant keywords and phrases relevant to your niche. And there's a quick way to find out the best performing keywords and phrases. All you need to do is head to Answer the Public, type in your niche and look at the keywords and phrases that people are using in search. And the great thing about this site is it can give you results specifically for YouTube. It's a small tweak, but it helps YouTube to serve your content to the right people. Alright, so remember earlier when we talked about how people waste too much time on tags? Well, there's actually a smarter way. What you have to realise is that viewers spend over 75% of their time on YouTube browsing, not searching. So if you want to know how to get your videos performing in browse, which is basically a game changer in comparison to SEO, then you can watch this video right here. It'll completely change the way that you approach your content. Also, how good is this mug that I made? Because I literally spent about 3 hours creating it. It's probably one of my best creations ever.